This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing a variation of the Mothership role-playing game called Cloud Empress. I'm your host, Thom Raley. This scenario is entitled The Star Seedling. It was written by Victor Graur, who is also our warden, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by me as my character, Lordling Amethistos Belleroth. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. To my immediate brother, Nemeraldos, to be shared with my two younger sisters, Florina and Saphira. I doubt anyone else cares. On the day following my graduation, I received an odd letter from Fada of the ancient House Stellar, inviting me to participate in his Equinox Festival, promising an adventure that would lead to prestige and wealth. Since this provided me with an opportunity to travel abroad, and since I had nothing better to do, I decided to take it, though I didn't really know much about the way things work down below. I figured I would have the chance to use the many languages and dialects of the lower classes. It might also afford me the opportunity to learn more of the magical arts and maybe even see one of the great insects close up. My adventure begins in a place called Tacktown, in a quaint little tavern run by two gracious patrons. They didn't have much, but they treated me properly, and I promised myself I would not complain. Almost immediately, I met the most marvelous group of wayfarers, and I joined them at their table. As it turns out, they had received, each in their own manner, the same invitation. They were a motley bunch, an old sellsword, a horned courier who I quite like, and two amazing magicians, the exact kind of people I had hoped to meet. As the old saying goes, the dust swirleth around the beating of the Great One's membranous wing, and settleth where it may. It was only after a while that our patron arrived with a kind of entourage. A woman of full stature, calling herself Thorn, presented a magical urn of ancient workmanship. She opened it with little fanfare, and there emerged from it, obscured interior, a phantasmal figure, a man, a ghost, incorporeal and unable to grasp even my polite and extended hand. This was the author of our invitation, Thada the playwright, the Lord of House Stellar. He told us that he had composed a play that he wanted us to perform. It was composed of a ponderous 4,000 pages, and he wanted it to be prepared and presented after only 2 days' time at his castle. I confess, we were confused, but he hinted that it was a kind of puzzle. Upon the acceptance of this mysterious challenge, the ethereal playwright returned to his old jug, and together with his entourage departed. And so, we sat and we pondered. One of the magicians rose, I think, pointed out that the task as presented was impossible. Therefore, the meaning must be part of the puzzle. I examined the text, and amidst our discussion, I noticed, quite by chance, that the lines of dialogue formed an acrostic. The first letter of each paragraph formed a secret message. We were to travel to Stellar Castle and present a play of our own devising, being ourselves, as it were. And so, fortified with the knowledge that we had not wasted our time memorizing 100,000 lines of dialogue, and after a difficult night's sleep, we procured transport and we were taken to Stella Castle. Now, this structure was quite different than the elegant spires of our own house Belleroth, but I knew, more or less, what to expect. Audience room, a place to eat and prepare food, a library, and other accoutrements. The servants were adequate to their purpose, but nothing compared to our own household staff. Still, for a grounded castle, it was interesting. When dinner arrived, it was more interesting still. In a strange procession, the younger members of the house filed in like squallish priests, solemn and pale. Well, we all ate after Sada and Thorn arrived. Of course, he did not eat. The food was interesting. After we had had enough of the meal, we were led up onto a stage to prepare. Now I thought that the young pale folk would be our audience, but no. Filling the seats where the people should be, the many and various paintings of nobles old and young and long forgotten, the ancestors of House Stella in all their finery, captured in gilt ornate frames, leaned against the backrests, their swirled eyes staring out of the canvas with latent expectancy. It was most strange indeed. As Walla the Shrew once said, I half expected a pot of brimbles to be levied against our enterprise. Well, we shall see.
Excellent. So you find yourselves on a wooden stage um, with all of these pictures staring into your direction. And for the first time, you take some time to look around, and there are quite some props on the stage. You see carton cutouts of shrubberies, of houses, and you can even recognize some of them as old pre Imago architecture. And one of the cutouts seems to have a silhouette behind it, but it's staying still. You look around in a little bit of confusion, and of course, the quietness and peace gets cut suddenly by Thorn. Go ahead, perform.
Lady, gentlemen, other.
I don't mind taking the lead if you're quite all right. I have a bit of acting. Ladies, gentlemen, portraiture of all ages. Gestures out towards the crowd. He draws his sword, his saber. You can see it's kind of like that ceramic, but it's got little chips and dings. My friends and I will be performing a unique play for you tonight, one that you will never see again or have ever seen before, even in your long life, dear Tada. I will begin with the story of my sword. As you can see, every notch in it, a story all of its own. A battle fought, a battle lost, perhaps. Tell me, which notch would you like to see?
And Tada is getting very, very excited. It is like, oh, please, uh, my dearest Sellsword, present me with the best blow this blade has ever dealt.
Ah, it would be easy to tell you about all the imago that this took, the bandits that tried to take it from the warriors fair. But the greatest blow this ever struck is right here, on the very top of it, where it broke against a rock in the field. But in breaking, it clove that rock in two so that the field could be tilled.
The moment when you say something about a rock that has been struck, who, where are you all sitting on the stage with Olo taking the lead? The rest of you are sitting not quietly or hiding in the background. Where are you on the stage exactly to get an image?
I was thinking that as he made these things, we would be making sound effects with
Ooh.
clanging
Right.
and so
And we're
forth.
probably downstage left, right? I mean, from the audience's view.
Or
Then,
behind the backdrop.
then you will all kind of see from the ceiling of from the darkness of the backstage a big rock is getting lowered down with a rope and it's being put on the stage. Um,
I'll I'll run out and untie it, put it in place. Yeah, one shot. Help me out here.
Behold the rock. We push it
The
into
rock.
place.
The rock. Why why is there a rock? Well, yes, a rock, much the same as this, although this pales in size comparison, of course. Um, it was something like, uh, is this, he kind of leans in. Is this like paper mache? What are we working with here?
Yeah, what does it feel like, Victor?
um,
Does it feel like a real rock?
you tap it, and it's much tougher than a normal rock, even though it's much lighter. When you untie it, you almost lift it without any difficulty.
Feels like
Olo,
ceramic,
oh
perhaps.
great knight. I, the gentle farmer, could use your assistance in removing this stone from my field.
Haha, of course. Good farmling, a simple task for a warrior such as I.
Oh, thank
Hmm.
you. My son here, pointing at one shot, and I have been struggling to clear our fields.
'Tis a great difficulty.
Yes, a plight most overlooked. Um, and he's like he's not used to dealing with other people on his stage. It's usually just him telling stories. So he's like,
And, and
yes,
and
yes,
this stone is of most unusual nature. It is very hard.
yes, yes, very difficult. Um, yes, technically it was it was actually not a full family. It was just a single farmer that needed the help. He had no son. It doesn't matter for the point of the story. The point is he struck it, and he's gonna just give it a hit with the his saber.
My goodness, the stone, you split it in two. Thank you, good sir.
Push the stone off. The stone is no more.
You, Tada applauds, but Thorn gives you a look that could kill if it would have that ability. And she's like, well, the peasant, your friend, said it was very hard. Try this one. And she points to, again, to the top of the stage. And another stone, which seems completely identical, lands on the stage.
Behold, the stone hath come back for more.
Of course, the second stone of I was just getting to that part of the story. How is Tada looking? Is like Tada eating this up, or is he getting bored?
Tada is excited.
All right.
However, I'm going to say, since you asked, you're looking at him and he's looking a little bit to the side to Thorn, and it's like whispering something to her. You can't really overhear it.
Okay, we're losing them. We're losing them. I need some pizzazz on this next rock, boys.
Perhaps some magic will help.
Yes,
Behold,
yes.
the magicians.
Yeah.
This
We,
is too much. Please, please.
I come out to Olo's side and I say to Olo, Olo, this rock is too big. I can help you strike this rock and cleave it
Thank
so the field may be tilled.
Yes, thank you, my trusty friend Bolo.
And I will pull out a very long feather and I will wave it above Olo's head in a very dramatic fashion. And I will like sort of like knight him in a way with it, just sort of one shoulder, the other shoulder.
Uh, uh,
I'll stand behind and I'll go, magic, magic, magic.
you better have something planned for this, son. Uh,
They're doing magic, you hear Tada shout. Exciting. What magic?
it
Oh
needs to be
my.
a little bit zestier than that, son. Step it up. We're
Oh,
losing
okay.
them.
Okay. Do you really want me to actually try
I mean,
magic?
why not?
Okay.
How bad can it go?
Pretty bad for me, but we'll give it a go anyway. Yeah, and so let's see. I'm trying to remember. I thought I wrote it down.
So, as a very, very quick reminder, what exactly do you want to do to remember?
Well, I only had one spell, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, how do you cast spells? Okay. Um, Essentially, spells use chalk. Should you want to attempt one, you pay the price of the chalk and you have to pass a heart check in order to have the spell actually work.
Can we help?
What's your magic?
I'm trying. I can like increase his. I can give him some extra organs.
Okay, maybe just on second thought, I um, which organs exactly?
I'm trying to find the details of this spell, and
We
I
don't we don't have
A,
time for you to
a
look through your
third a
book.
third arm to
yeah
No,
to add
that could be
50% to
impressive.
his strength.
yeah. Let's see. Give me just a second here.
Yeah, no problem.
There it
Uh,
is.
I'm going to say that so that's a very, very serious spell,
Yeah.
meta-wise. You could definitely um, dazzle the audience by pretending to cast some spell, but I'm going to say that you will have to expend a stick of chalk regardless,
Okay.
even
Is
an effect that is much money.
is this rock heavy or is it still light?
Um, you try to lift this one up. It's much, much more heavier than the fall rock.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask, um, as the others are preparing this spell and all the pizzazz, Olo, do you actually attempt to strike the rock with your saber again?
Um,
This other one.
yeah, I think at the moment he's not touched it or dealt with it at all. So from his
Yeah,
mind,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
another
Hmm.
rock. So
Hmm.
yeah, he's planning to hit it.
Well, give me a strength check, and you essentially aim to not fail or crit fail it.
That's very funny. Might I roll with advantage due to blades?
Yes, you may.
Although, as it turns out, I'm very lucky today, and O3 is somehow a success.
You strike this rock, and it cracks a little bit, but to your horror, it chipped your saber.
Just like in when it actually happened, the
Indeed.
sword is showing the damage from the stone.
Yes, god damn it.
And this one split as well.
Indeed, it is powerful indeed, and it leads us to the moral of my portion of this act. Sometimes just leave the rock there. Work around it. Go around the problems in your life because they're too difficult to move. Thank you. And he'll bow before turning to his saber like, really? God damn it.
That was painful. If I recall correctly, you actually have some emotional ties to that
Yeah.
item.
Yeah, this is like breaking a bit of a family heirloom for him.
Um, I would say you take one stress
Yeah,
for
I
this
buy
one.
that.
Okay, so Tada claps, and you hear the claps in this weird squishy sounds that they make. Um, Thorn, for the first time, actually sees Olo a little bit nursing the blade, and you catch a glimpse of sympathy, but very briefly, the others that are looking at her. Um, and she will be like, okay, good, next scene. And she snaps her fingers, and the whole decorum actually changes. So you see these unseen hands practically taking all the cardboard and all the decorations, and the stone is getting dragged off the stage by this black tar hand that has no features out of the stage. Off. It literally dragged hundreds of pounds like it was nothing. And you are left with an empty stage, which gets slowly populated by these vases that you kind of have the feeling that they should imitate a golden field from the breadbasket. There is a new scene, and you see the weird figure that was standing in off stage coming into view. It's a humanoid figure robed. It has kind of some clanky movements. And from the sound, the clicks, you gather that this thing is what you heard of as robots, but robots is a lot. Usually they are known by the breadbasket people. This robo is actually tame. So it
Hmm.
moves at the middle of the stage, and you see it have a rifle in its hand. And It's just standing there. And Thorn returns. New scene.
I
Proceed.
will. This
In the
looks like the Golden Hills, right? Like this is from where I'm from.
Yeah, yeah, it's very similar, and you almost immediately recognize it as a sniper clone.
Yeah, these. I'm a little wary of the robot. I mean, where I'm from, these things when they wander the countryside have been known to kill many people. Um, so I will start to creep forward onto the stage and say, and as the spring waxed into summer, there came the great pestilence to the land of the Golden Hills. Wanderers from afar came back, carrying with them a simulacrum from the old days, at the time of the torturers. And this traveler from time long ago carried with it some kind of plague. Following in its tread, there came pox, pustules, and sores. Many took sick, many died. Those few brave healers did what they could to stem the tide of death. And I'm kind of motioning for
Yeah,
some others to
I'll
join me on the stage.
I'll come up being sick and I'll fall dramatically to the stage. Help, help me. And I'll point at
Villages,
Sven. Healer, help me, healer.
I step into position, into place.
So, as you all build up this scene, um, Ada is like, this is actually great because, and it turns to Thorn, if you remember, we actually tried to save the people. So here is a wonderful healer from the Stellar House trying to repair some mishaps by the Stellar House. How
Uh,
exactly do you want to heal? Heal. It's an act. How exactly do you want to proceed with the healing?
well, I take a cloth out of my pocket and mime that I'm putting in a bucket to get it wet and um, rubbing and cleaning and helping. And then I reach into the pouch at my waist and pull out, and I'm miming that this is, whatever kind of chalk container may be in common usage, and using that and blowing it onto one shot in hopes that this would have the power to heal. Heal.
Uh, I kind of am guessing that it doesn't work because it didn't work back then. Uh, it's I'm I'm feeling better, and then I collapse.
many villages deserted or filled with the dead. Rumors took it that in the train of the plague, the souls of those who were lost followed in the steps of the wanderer from the age of the tormentors, that robotic soul that stepped, bringing with it the shadow of death. Crops lay unharvested, growing to maturity, and yet no one there to reap them. Starvation stalked the land as well as the pestilence. Those who could not heal took to chokery to try to fill in the pangs from hunger and to save the body from death.
With these wise words, The robo from the middle almost takes a bow with you all, ending the scenery. And it rapidly turns to leave the stage. And as it starts leaving the stage, it passes by Rose, since they interacted with it the most. And for a very, very brief moment, you notice that it actually makes a motion, like it wants to take a shot point blank at you, but it stops itself. You may add one stress as it continues to leave the stage like nothing happened.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Who was it pointing at?
At Rose.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
these
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, again, coming from a place where these robots from the old world are known to still roam. Yeah, I don't trust it. I still don't trust it. And especially after it did that, my life flashed before my eyes. Um, and I'm gonna quickly retreat from center stage, like clutching my chest.
And Thorn says, for the final stage, after the torturers have left this very planet, a plague has hit civilizations. A gift was given by the Stellar House. And she snaps her fingers, and you are surrounded by bookcases, you are surrounded by expensive tapestry, and in the middle of the stage, you see something like a big sarcophagus almost made out of stone. And it bears the crest of the Stellar House. And on top of it is this small, little, almost elderflower like plant in an ornate vase sitting on top of this sarcophagi. And this is the last scene.
Uh, Sorry, I'm a little out of it with the sword. We need to sell this big. This seems like we need to make good with our hosts.
So
I
you say
think
it's like a library, but then there's the sarcophagus.
Yeah, in the middle, smack down. You are almost in an interior. For now, until now, you've been in the wide open, and right now it seems you are contained almost in a claustrophobic place.
Behold the tomb of the ancestors, surrounded by the knowledge and wisdom of the world. Uh,
Even in death, we owe a great debt to the Stellar family, do we not, my friends?
Indeed.
All hail the stellar family and house.
Somebody grab the flower. Make it spotlight the flower.
I will go and I will gesture towards the flower with the accumulated knowledge and wisdom collected here in this place. Finally, the panacea, the cure for the lands to save the populace from the plagues, pestilence, and famine. They're sprouted from the brilliant minds of House Stellar a plant, the very drops of dew from it to save the body and mind from destruction.
If there is a poem in the ancient tongues,
Mm.
I might, referring to the flower or a flower, I will recite it.
Pada claps ecstatically. Thorn says, with a little bit tinge of arrogance, appearances may deceive. You may have found a seedling, but you have not yet found the Star Seedling.
Well, this is then but the first bit to a journey, is it not? For the Stellar family would not just give out such a cure to all. They must give it out to those worthy. Am I right? Kind of points back at the others. See, yup, sure, we're all in agreement.
We are not worthy of the grace of House Stellar.
Don't overdo it.
It's too much. It's too much. Take it down.
Dial it back.
And with that, the sarcophagi bursts open, and a deep silence sits in the room. Do you take a look inside?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very reverently, Hands and Gasho walking up um, to the sarcophagus.
You take a look inside, and inside is a figure, a man laying down, its face, body, all being consumed by these nasty white blobs that also have some spikes on them. And I'm going to say you are all a little bit shocked. This kind of look like very, very good practical effects. Until Amatistos, you get close and you recognize this person. You recognize them from your university days. You would recognize a former lover.
Oh. How can this be? For this is the Screaming Gourd. This is a friend from university with whom I've spent much time. How is he here? And I'll turn towards Thorn and Thada. Is this an illusion or is this real?
Tada looks a little bit kind of out of it. He's like, well, we've talked about this. You are not the first ones that have attempted to find the results to my clues. I might have taken some creative liberties with what I do with people that we are disposing of that don't really manage.
Oh, you're saying you brought him here and did this puzzle to him, but he wouldn't be interested in such things. He was going to be a politician.
Thorn chimes in and is like, everybody has their price. Now, you would be tempted to check for illusions, but I would recommend against it, since the spore is quite contagious. But we thought that a small surprise would convince you that we are quite serious.
Well, my stress went up.
Ola's going to take a step back, and I'm pretty sure his stress would go up too from being told you're standing next to a very
spores?
contagious spore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for this reminder, our hosts, of the seriousness of this nature. We respect you and regard you well.
Why show us the display of the corpses of those who have gone before us?
Tada looks at you all and is like, oh, I'm not that evil. You see, to get this reward, I mostly, require you to check some whereabouts, which are in fact in this quiet village. The village has a problem, you see, with the spore population around, and it was probably a mistake to send just this young lordling and a couple of his colleagues in such a pursuit. And of course, Thorn intervenes. You can send hundreds, they will never return, and we are just going to kill the entire cloudling population. Nothing will change. Silence, please, Thorn. So I completely trust you that you will do a wonderful job. Of course, you will wear more protection than this poor sod, but I thought it would be fun, integrate the dangers of the surrounding place. And you can definitely tell that they weren't never hostile, but you sense some, you could guess some insanity coming off of them. They are pretty much taking it way too lightly. Thorn seems more grounded in this situation, almost.
You have a peculiar sense of aesthetics, let's say, then. Some prefer stories without all this death. Some people prefer romantic stories, those where the young fall in love or go on a journey, not these stories of corpses and spores.
Well, I was once a lover, like all of you yourselves, but then, it's complicated. I kind of took a big blow to my body. It gets so lonely sometimes. But you're here. All is good. Right. So I am much more than pleased with your performance. Thorn interjects, it was horrible. Nevertheless, you are wonderful. And to thank you, I am going to give you a gift. And Thorn reluctantly snaps her fingers, and you see one of these black hands from the stage come and shove um, into one of your arms a box.
I'll open it.
I'm not sure I'm willing to take anything from these people who murdered somebody that I know.
Yeah, if Rose gets it,
I'll
we'll take a
I'll
step
step
back
back.
from Rose.
A gift is very fine, but perhaps you could also help supply, outfit, and perhaps repair Olo's sword before you expect more of us.
By all means, yes, of
Thank
course.
you.
We have a wide variety of weaponry.
Thank you.
Um, if you open the box, it's holding an object which is similar to a compass, but it has many more tongues than a normal compass would actually have. Other than that, it's like a pretty piece of jewelry.
I'll remove it from the box.
And I'll leave
Is
the
this
element.
to guide us?
Perhaps.
Where's it pointing?
In multiple directions. Essentially, it's like the needles, the tongues are afraid of each other and they are pointing in all the coordinates possible. Their combinations as well.
So another puzzle.
Perhaps, says Tada.
Well, traveling friends and kind hosts, I suspect we might need some time to think about this. After all, we've, I believe, just had dinner before this. So it might be a good time to adjust for the night and check out this weaponry and relax for a bit.
Wouldn't want to stress my actors. You are my favorites, by the way. And Thorn mutters, the only ones. You are my favorites, by the way. Yeah, it shall be done. And they essentially jump in the urn, and Thorn leaves with the urn. The pictures are still there. Totally watching you, of course. You are all alone in the theater room.
Alone and alone.
I feel like that one's eyes are following me. Is you getting that walking back and
Oh,
forth on the
yes.
stage?
What
Is there anything else in
feet
the
of
box or any description of the box?
It's a plain wooden box. A little bit more ornate. You could probably exchange it for something very common. It's a pretty box. Not precious.
Any markings or anything on this compassoid?
Um, so the compass has many letters on its border, and the letters seem to be in a language that you have never seen before. Or
Anybody recognize this language? One shot. You seem to be good at languages.
One shot is extremely disturbed, and he's just going to head for the door to go outside.
we have come, I fear, to the very seat of madness. How many have perished in these strange games of theirs over the years?
Is it all these portraits that were staring back at us?
I was thinking the same thing myself, son. If we ourselves might find ourselves in portraiture before too long.
I don't know quite the life you've lived, but this feels pretty par for the course when dealing with cloudlings, if I'm to be quite honest.
Yes, now that Amethystos has left us, their privilege causes them to get into strange
Indeed.
habits,
Um,
habits of action, habits of mind.
yes, someone should probably. I'll go after him. Consider though that flower. We need to keep track of that. I'm I'm worried when they're talking about a star seedling. We've found a seedling, but not the plant has something to do with it, or the spore. It's unclear.
Yes, I have a feeling that they have no reward to give us. There's something that they want, and they don't want to
Hmm.
jeopardize themselves and its obtain it.
Yes, well, I'll go keep an eye on our friend in case one of those pale creatures decides to make a meal of him or something.
Well, people wanting things is right up my alley. So, and
Yes, better that
there's
they
worse
have
deaths than becoming portraits who are still alive
like
of a way,
the prop in that last scene, the corpse.
truly.
I
Speaking
don't
of
know if
which, let's
I
move away
agree
from the
with you.
corpse.
Certain death breeds new life. The corpse decays, the crops grow, but to be forever instilled inside of a painting, I don't know if that is more desirable than death.
Is it forever? Perhaps something like what happens to our host could happen to us as well. But nonetheless, that's not now. And I think um, I'll adjourn from this room with this corpse as well, gentlemen.
I'm going to Now that Sven has left, Olo has left, and Amethystos has left, and I'm just on the stage with Sun, I must ask you, as a fellow dabbler with the chalk,
Yes.
what is it that you know? It may be that our skills may make the difference in this trials ahead.
Uh, Skills in magic is what you're asking about.
Skills and magic, your knowledge of other things.
Uh, my knowledge is in plants, mysticism. Uh,
Yes, I too am well versed in medicine, plants, and mysticism as well.
um, a spell, a spell I know is particularly powerful. Um, Unfortunately, I've never really been able to cast it successfully. It's quite strong. Um, I can modify a person,
Hmm.
give them new skin, a new heart, a new lung, thicker bones, that kind of thing. But it's quite taxing to cast. So,
Hmm. I know I know several more trivial spells, nothing of such power that which you speak. I know the ways and means of speaking with animals. I can change one's appearance, and I can create food from water.
it's all very excellent spells. Very excellent spells.
As you are talking there, um, following a little bit Amatistos, you leave the room troubled and, of course, with a big emotional impact. Where do you go?
Well, I'll head for the door and go outside. Uh, if there's like a garden or whatever right outside the door or whatever, I'll just go out there and I'll stand and I'll stare up at the clouds and the sky and the stars. Wait, is it nighttime or is it daytime? It's after dinner,
Um,
so it should be nighttime, right?
yeah, I'm going to say that the sun has left the orange yellow clouds a long time ago.
Okay. And I make my vow upon my blade that Gord's death will be avenged for the sake of the Heliomarcos family, the house Heliomarcos, which is what he belonged to. And I'm seriously contemplating burning this whole place to the ground. But I'll discuss that with my friends before I do that. So that's how they'll find me, standing out in the garden with my knife raised.
Oh dear. It's, how are you holding up, young Cloudling?
Hmm. This is not good. I have I have very little tying me here except your friendship. I have a strong desire to immediately go home and inform House Heliomarcos, who will rain down fire upon this place for killing their son.
That I would be shocked if I said I was surprised. That is often the way of it in the clouds. Um, but why are you down here? Are you here to get an authentic experience?
Oh, well, I got that invitation, the same one you got, and I didn't have anything else to do. Uh, See, I'm in a rather unique position. Perhaps not unique, but unique for Cloudlings in that I'm the seventh down the
Hmm.
line. Nobody really cares what I do. Um, some like me might just hang around the castle and, do their needlework or fiddle bits or listen to music. I'd much rather see the world. It's interesting to me. Plus,
Well
I
then,
have had some studies in magic and I'm interested. I'm hoping at some point to actually see one of the great insects up close.
well, I think you found a kindred people. I would say that the people that live here on the ground are all the seventh children, if you will, ignored
Huh,
by the Cloudlings.
that's very
So before
profound.
you rain fire down, maybe it would be best to see what you can learn from us. We all have to dance this way sometimes, and we'll see things we don't want to. And people with cruel intent will make light of your family for no cost to them. But
Well, then
you
I
have
will
to
season
dance.
my revenge for a while.
Now
I do hope
that's
to learn from you all. I especially want to learn the magic the magicians know. They're willing to teach me. I can also teach them the magic that I know.
I suspect they would be open to that.
Theirs probably comes from a great deal of hard work and experimentation. Mine comes from old books, of which we have quite a few.
If I'm being honest, this chalk stuff terrifies me. I can't recommend it, but I,
Well,
you've got the aptitude.
I have I have a few pieces, as I've shown you before.
Good Lord, don't wave those around.
Um, I also have a press, so that if we happen to run across any oh raw chalk out
Yes.
there, but I give freely. I don't take freely, but I am Screaming Gourd was a roommate of mine from university,
Hmm.
and At first, we shared our room, and then we shared more. Uh, I won't say he was the only one. Of course, it's college days. Have fun, you know. But he didn't deserve to be exposed to the spores. I have a feeling we're threatened. Either we do
Yes.
what they ask us to do, or they will attempt at least to kill us.
I would not be surprised if we are not already infected.
God forbid. Gods forbid, I should
Yes.
say.
Well, we can hope they have a cure of some kind. But that's
We
up
should
for
find a
our
healer. See if we can find a
magicians to
healer
know.
who can tell us.
But please, let's go back inside and meet with them some more. We need to discuss strategy.
Rather, they came out here. It's stuffy in there. I'll follow you though.
As you
Yeah,
enter the castle, what are Rose, Sven, and Sun doing as you are waiting for your other companions to join you?
I think I'm inspecting this strange compass, quote unquote. Do the needles move if I press them? Like, could I cause them to spin?
Yeah, yeah, you can. You can most definitely
So if
do
I
that.
move them, do they move back into the position that they were? Like, if I
So,
move a needle, does it
mhm,
swing
mhm.
back on its own?
Um, yeah, it seems to try to maintain its configuration.
How strange. This thing obeys some kind of strange law. I don't know what makes the needles move.
As I come in, I'm going to naturally walk right on over to where Sven is and sort of put my arm around his shoulder, just for personal comfort.
One shot, I take it you knew that poor man.
Knew his family. We were roommates for 4 years.
I feel for you. Loss is very, very difficult.
Well, it's very difficult not to follow immediate retaliation with hellfire upon these people, but for your sakes, I'll refrain from it now. I can't
I
say that it
think
won't end in hellfire for them.
that's exactly right, friend. Save
It
that
is
option for later, perhaps. We can do more damage by doing as they ask.
it
What?
is difficult to go against somebody that has command of such an automaton. If they have
Oh,
unlocked the secrets of those infernal things, what
I've
else
never
do they
seen one of
know?
those before. You seem to be familiar.
Yes, they are artifacts of the old world. The torturers built them, and
Oh,
still they wander, and still they kill. Heartless they move. No blood beats through their veins. They are cold, metallic reapers of the night. And they have this one as a plaything, a toy at their beck and call.
I think there is darker magic here than we've yet seen. And what of all those young folks with their pale faces and their lack of hospitality? It's odd. What's that you have there?
This is what they gave us at the end of that play. It
Can
appears
I
to be a compass of some kind.
can I read the language?
Um,
I
well,
believe I
you
do have
haven't seen it,
ancient.
but uh-huh. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I have tongues. I have ancient
hmm
languages.
I mean, you can definitely give me a mind to see if you kind of recognize what this might be, with advantage, obviously, thanks to tongues.
Oh, no, it's obscure to me. Wait, advantages. Let's roll twice.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got an O2 on the second roll.
Hmm.
It's the alethiometer language, the Aletheian
Well,
language.
it's close to that as well, but it's very close to torturer script.
Yes, one of the most ancient tongues, a torture script. Unfortunately, I would need a lexicon to decipher its exact meaning. I'm not even sure if we'd have a lexicon such as that in our own. Perhaps here.
We
Perhaps
have
this
the
castle has a
access, yeah.
library.
You also know that it's bad luck to read it phonetically. It's a myth, but you never know.
If you get the pronunciation wrong, it can be very bad. What
How
did
shall
we
we
do
proceed?
the sarcophagus?
The Black Hands got rid of it.
Remove.
What about the flower, Olo? Did did you want to get that before they?
I would have liked to have, yeah, kept that if we can.
You are in possession of the beautiful Elden Flower.
It, I would turn to Sun and Rose. Do either of you recognize this? I'm unfamiliar with these things.
Whatever it is a relic of the old days. As to its function, as to its purpose, I do not know. Those secrets are long, either with the dead or with those in the stars. What the better question, I think, is what role does it play in this game that we're forced to play?
He said that it was not the Star Seedling, or not the star, but perhaps it gives us a clue as to what we're looking for.
And
Does, does the flower affect the compass in any way?
As a matter of fact, it does. You, since you asked about it specifically, the closer the flower is to this object, the needles that tried to resist Rosie's manipulations start to finally move on their own.
So it senses things. The needles have the capacity to sense something. This might be what we need to guide us to finding what we need to obtain. And
and
it
you
works
asked
by
Rose what the
proximity.
yeah, what the
Or
point of the point of the play was to, rather than tell us outright, is to tell us the history of the house. Did you catch that apparently Stellar helped with the plague due to one of their own mishaps?
Yes, it would seem that
yes,
House Stellar bears responsibility for the plague,
they tried to
both
heal
for
it,
its
but they
onset and
caused
for
it.
its cure.
They caused it instead to spread instead of to fix.
Wonder if they don't actually have a cure
Perhaps
for
that's
this.
what they're looking for.
Hmm.
Or what
Perhaps
they'll
that's
have us look for.
it may be altruism after all. Perhaps their entire family, all the pale youths, are infected, and you wouldn't want to send them out across the countryside looking for a cure because they would simply infect the countryside as they went.
I wouldn't look for any altruism here.
They're
This is
murderers as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so Tada is not that evil.
Why? Why would Gord be interested in this? He was a politician.
why are you interested in it?
I'm interested in because I've got nothing else to do, and I'm interested in magic. Gord wasn't interested in magic at all. Gord
I
was
Surely
mean,
they
perhaps he
promised
never
him
was
coming.
something.
a young lordling looking for fame and fortune.
Because he'd
trying to
get
make
fame
it.
and fortune working for his house in the political
Well, you go to
arena.
explain that to his corpse.
And
You
also
have to
he
explain it to
might
his
have been
family.
looking for political favors from the house or
Yes, I
others.
mean, I think Sven was right. I mean, the reason why I came here was this promise of some great wealth or some kind of great reward that I could bring
Oh,
back to my village.
well,
That's why
I'm
we were
not
all
sure.
here.
Did we ever actually compare all of our letters? Do they say the same thing, or are they geared for us individually?
So, a reminder to the previous session, the letters are identical, with the only difference being that on the back, you can actually complete a map that points to this very location.
We were all
Of
lured
course.
by the same thing, but for different reasons.
Yes, and you think that your friend gonna have been tempted by similar means?
He had all of the money and wealth that he needed. Prestige, perhaps.
Hey, perhaps you did not know your friend as well as you thought you did.
You sleep with somebody for 4 years, you know them pretty well.
I don't know.
We
Other
will
people are inscrutable. Yeah.
I mean,
we
that's
may
true.
never know the answer to this. Um, what we do know is it's a tragedy that your friend passed, and we will do our best to get revenge for your friend while also working to help ourselves.
Amethystos, a question for you.
Yes.
Is this the first person who you've known that has died?
Oh, no. People in my family, people die, they get old. But it's the first young person
Mm.
and friend.
You see, in my village, many a child never lives to see his 12th birthday.
That
Many
is
of the
terrible.
young perish. I have seen very few of us grow old down here.
Uh,
Few are as fortunate as Olo here to get wise in years.
but I've been told also that the chalk ages you.
Chalk does terrible, terrible things.
Uh,
You, I'm sure Sun will join me in saying that while we have knowledge of how to use the chalk, we seldom have ever used it.
well, I've always been told to only use it under extreme conditions. I've used it only to test uh, the
What have
things
you,
that I've read.
what is it that you know?
Well, I particularly know two very important spells, one of which I did use once in a kind of, misadventure, if you will. I can turn myself invisible. It lasts an hour, maybe a little more than an hour. And I also can open a portal to a safe place. I leave a mark in the safe place, and then I can open a door uh, to escape if we are trapped somewhere. We go back to that safe place. There are some weird side effects.
It seems that
You
this,
you are an even better road companion than I thought before one shot. Such powers would be very helpful.
They're not powers that these are things that I've read from books.
Can you make
Uh,
others invisible?
I don't know. I could teach you the spell. I'm not
Can others
sure
go
if
through the portal with you?
I also don't know that, but I believe as long as everybody's touching me, we can go through the portal together. I'm not sure, however, if the side effects will also transfer to you.
What
The
side
side effects,
effects?
huh, well, it's rather amusing, really. Once I've used the portal for nearly 2 weeks afterwards, I can't actually walk through a doorway of any kind, which means I need a friend on the other side of the arch to just pull me through. For some reason, I become completely reluctant to step through on my own. It's not that anything happens if I go through it. I just can't seem to do it.
Yes, magic
Call it
has these types of properties.
overwhelming fear.
Yes, I know a spell after which I cast I cannot feed myself. I can eat, but I can't be the one to bring food
But
to
you
my
can't
lips.
feed yourself. Very strange how magic works. And I mentioned earlier to Olo that I have a press, a very fine press. So if we ever find raw material, I can make sticks, even as these have been made with the impressions that are on them. By the way, I have 4 sticks if you need any chalk in our
I've
adventures.
brought three with me. If we need more chalk than that, God help us.
Well, perhaps we'll find some as we travel about. I've heard you find it on the imago before the imagos. Usually, the instars they shed their outer frame, their
Their
carapace.
carapace as they grow.
Have you ever seen one up close?
No. The shells, yes. One of them, no.
Never seen either. I so would like to.
I don't believe you really do. If you value your life, that is.
Well, I don't want to go up and poke him in the nose. I just want to, from a distance, see one. I've seen them fly. I've seen them, but they're always in the distance. For some reason, they don't come up as high as the cloud cities. They
If
fly
they did, there
lower.
wouldn't be any cloud cities, I'm sure.
Probably not.
In my experience, other people are much more dangerous than the Imago for chalk collecting,
Oh,
Hmm.
well, in a barter system, everybody wants everything.
especially chalk.
Though, to be perfectly honest, I think I came very unprepared. I don't know why I thought jewelry might be something that people want, but it's not really practical, is it?
It's still worth a
Um,
great deal.
I might as well have
You
bought
could
brought
you could you could
money.
buy a farm with one of those rings.
Yeah, but
And we
think of
can
all the.
always cut pieces off and um, give them for
Portions.
weight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking. My grandfather tried currency, and it never really caught on. So I
You, the,
figured handing somebody a piece of gold is pretty much currency, isn't it? People want food. People want things they can use.
Yes, but
I'd rather
gold
have the food.
gold is still valued by many.
This is very, it can be melted down, it can be made into various things and so forth. Odd that we spend so much time making them into pretty little things.
Whoever said that human beings were purely rational, Amethystos?
People like to decorate themselves, and so there's always a market there. Perhaps the artisans should rule the world. I am,
Unfortunately, many die here in the dirt.
I am. Question for the G.
Yes.
Do we have any concept of an afterlife, or do we consider this the afterlife? Because
Well,
do we really die?
to be fair, there are many visions on the afterlife in the hereafter.
Okay.
One of the more popular ones, but nobody can really confirm, is that the hereafter is when the world actually stopped. So you might see yourself in a wonderful yet frightening limbo. Um, Others claim that the uh, Cloud Empress and the Cloud Emperor hold power and visions on what the afterlife is like, but they do not share it out of fear that people would not understand. Um, as you stay in this position, you might find yourself to be reticent to put your finger and claim, yes, this is the afterlife. Many
Ah,
religions try, just like in real life, to kind of take on such a heavy subject, but it's muddy. It's very muddy.
okay. So I'll say that, particularly myself, the people of the clouds are not particularly religious, but I have a great deal of respect for the cicada religion, if you will. There's
Yes,
something there,
those,
something mystical
do you
about
count
them.
them as holy? Many do. They are the great
This,
bringers of the world, great destroyers as well.
yeah, they certainly have brought us magic and they have brought us something. Something happened at the end that they
Yes.
came and fixed, at least in part.
The torturers destroyed the world.
And the cicadas came and revitalized it.
Yes, but it is a world for the cicadas, not a world for humanity. We are simply the remnants of what was.
Perhaps. Perhaps we can find a place to live with the cicadas.
I wouldn't expect a lordling to know the folly of such.
You can teach me. I
I
came here
mean,
to learn.
it is easier to have wayward ideas when one lives so high up in the clouds.
It's not so different. I'd say that the trappings are different, but the people, they're still people. And most of them are assholes.
Have you ever held a child in your arms as it passed away from sickness?
No, I can't say that I have.
Have you ever gone hungry for weeks after your crops have failed?
No, I can't say that I have.
I
Have
wouldn't
you
be
ever
so
been
quick to say that our experiences are the same.
have you ever been considered as worthless to by your own family?
Most of my family isn't alive anymore.
But when they were, did they not love you? Did they not sing to you and hold you tight?
It
I've
is not
almost
a
never met
family.
my mother and father.
A family's love is not what one should court. One should act in service of the community. My whole people are my family. The only reason I am here is because I thought it would benefit them. My life has very little to do about me or any individual's love for me. If I can serve my community, then I have a life well worth living. If I am not in service to my community, then on that day I shall perish. For what use is my life?
Like,
Gentle folk, we've all suffered in our own ways. Life is challenging and difficult. We don't have to have a contest to see who suffered more. But what we can do is try to find out what is being requested of us.
Yeah.
And Ola will kind of turn at this point because as soon as it started getting philosophical, he was just like, all right, I'm gonna hold up for a second. And he's actually like made a list of basically questions that he's looking at and that we'll need to work forward to look through these things. I'm planning to look tonight for the arsenal. Um, I don't know if any of you are good with a weapon, but I find a good sword by your side is never missed. We need to figure out where that flower came through from with the compass, hopefully. I need to know personally. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think we can all assume we're all infected by this spore if it's highly contagious. We need to know how long we have.
Well,
I
some
would
of that requires research, which I will find the
be
library and see what I can find.
wonderful. Has anyone seen what, do we know what those tar creatures are? We have no
No.
idea.
Well, no, I'm definitely not turning down any kind of investigation or even suppositions, but I'm going to say that they are quite alien to
Yeah,
both lowland wasters as well as to cloudlings.
Yes,
I'll
House
see what I
Stellar
can.
seems to possess some kind of ancient knowledge. Their,
indeed.
again, their mastery over the automaton is evidence enough of that, but this chalkery of theirs, this life as a spirit in a jar, that is beyond anything I have ever heard or dreamed of.
Precisely. And that
He,
sort of thing takes power. Chalk resources, they're drawing from somewhere. Uh, as far as I know, none of your magic is free, is it?
No, no magic
No.
is free.
he told us that their family was the oldest, and he's indicated that they were there uh, in the at the end, at the beginning.
It may be that they are the remnants of an ancient line that was left behind when the torturers took to the sky.
Well,
Maybe.
Mage Rose, Mage Sun, their library may be filled with answers.
We all
We
know what
could.
happens when you have a royal family that's left alone for a long time. It
What if
starts to
these
get a
are?
little, hmm,
What if these are torturers who were left behind?
I'm starting to suspect that, son, very much. They
I,
have they've already shown us a great display of artifacts of the torturers.
I think I once read that the torturers did not have magic. That magic came with the cicadas.
Yes, but the torturers possessed all sorts of wondrous things that we would have no other word for other than magic. I mean, what do you make of this compass that I hold in my hands? It operates by some forces and laws invisible to us. It is, for my eyes, magical, not in the sense of chalk and the cicadas, but it is possess a wondrous unknowability to it.
This will be somewhat ridiculous, but I'll take my ring and I'm going to set it over across the room on the table. Ask the compass where the ring is and see if it tells you.
Where is the ring?
Nothing seems to change,
Okay.
but great
It was
spell.
a try. It was a try.
Good thinking though, one shot. We have to
I mean, we could
clearly
ask it
this
an
doesn't
even
work like a
simpler
compass.
question. I mean, where is my home, compass?
No change.
Uh,
But it
it's
reacts to
undiscovered.
the flower.
like a
Which makes me
magnet.
think we might want to bring it around town. Keep in mind that is our stated goal, right? They want us to look around town and perhaps find the cause of the plague. It's not quite clear what they think we're doing.
Yes,
Well, I'm always up
if
for a
we
trip into
experiment with the
town.
flower, how close do we need to get to the flower before the needles start to move?
You kind of can guess a buffer zone in which, as you get closer, the needles change. If you get something like 3 or 4 feet away, they stop moving at all, regardless of how far you are from the flower.
But they're pointing right at the flower.
No, there are multiple tongues, and they point towards these weird torture script inscriptions on the compass.
It's almost like it's identifying it in a language that we do not know.
Hmm. Well, I know what I'm going to do in the
One
library.
shot. You said you have some chalk.
Yes,
Bring it close to the compass.
Clever.
bring my chalk over.
It changes somewhat in a completely different configuration. So you get a configuration for chalk and you get a configuration for the eldenflower.
Yeah, so it seems to be serving as some
Identifies.
kind of identification.
Also, as
Problem
you're
is we can only
saying, and go ahead. So
Oh, I was going to say the only problem with this is that it only identifies things we've seen before. We need some way to read it for unknown things to make it truly useful.
some clanking uh, echoes through the hallways as you're talking.
Well, shall we head into town?
Yes, before we do that,
Well, library first. Yeah.
well, I want to see if I like bring the compass near something like bread or like the things I brought from home. Does it also move?
Um, Not when you approach it, when you get it closer to the bread. No.
But it does when I move it closer to chalk.
Yes.
Something with magic.
Yes, and the chalk and the needles move into a different place with the chalk than it does with the flour.
One last test, and I'll come over and I'll lay my head sideways on the table. And I said, put the compass here on my face. See if it sees the wisdom teeth that I have.
It spins violently and wildly all across the without stopping. Hmm.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Yes, it seems
Hmm.
to be particularly drawn to things of magical portent.
How very
I want.
strange.
Ah, I'm almost scared to suggest this, but I'm curious about the automaton, the robot.
I don't know where it is now. It's been taken away.
We heard the clanking.
Mhm.
It's not coming in your direction, but you hear clanking, echoing in the distance, not
Yeah, so
loud.
if you guys want to go to the library, I want to see how this compass reacts to the robot.
Remember, it has a gun. It's armed.
I'd like to
Yes,
find my way to
and
the kitchen. I could
pray
use
to
a
the
snack.
cicadas that it doesn't shoot me.
Well, while he'll do that, I'll go to the library if I can find it.
Very well.
And Sven's going for food, more food.
Um, yeah, and, for sure you can definitely find something to snack on. Shalom will be there, the chef, and of course they also have a pet, hedgehog dog that they feed sometimes, some scraps, and yeah, they will be like, yeah, of course, sir, no problem. They will fix something up for you, but you,
I just
you
want like a piece of bread with some butter. I don't want to put you to any work. Oh, and what a lovely dog you have.
yeah, Zuzi. It's a cute family heirloom, let's say, from my late partner. They passed away
Oh,
a
I'm
couple of years
sorry
ago.
for your loss.
It happens.
Yes, there's been much loss in our land.
So Sholo will definitely give you something to eat, but you see that they are not prepping anything. They probably want to get done with the food already prepped. So it's still good, but yeah. Um, do you do anything else in the kitchen as you are, as they are quite distracted by taking care of Zuzi?
I do scope the place out,
Mhm.
you know, looking for anything out of the norm or um, interesting. I mean, this kind of kitchen where you could just go in and get food, it's pretty magical. I mean, these magicians are talking about magic. This is magic. So,
You see more food than you have seen in your entire career life, even more than some very, very well stocked inns. Um, but I'm also going to say that you spot some peculiarities, such as there are some weird plants in there, and one of them is actually almost organic. I mean, our plants are organic, but this is almost like meaty, like organic. And it's crawling on the table until Shola notices it and it strikes it with a meat cleaver and it just stops.
goodness, what's that?
Just a spore. We get them from two or three farms away from here. And it probably will notice your expression and it's like, oh, not, I've heard of Master Tadaz and Mistress Thorn joke earlier. It's not that spores. These are actually edible.
Oh, do they travel well?
Um, Not speedy enough, but yeah, these buggers can really, really get a number of a farmer that doesn't pay that much attention to them.
No, I meant once you've killed it, is it something I can bring on the road with me to eat on the road, or does it spoil quickly?
Um, it kind of spoils relatively quickly.
Hmm, it's always a
I mean,
challenge in my work.
yeah, I mean, if I give you this and I have no reason not to, we're already quite well stocked. It will probably last for 24 hours or something, give or take.
Thank you though.
Yeah,
And thank you for your kindness. Um, it's the food has been delightful, and thank you for your generosity. And I'm sure I will see you either at breakfast or at lunch tomorrow.
that shall be done. Thank you. And they return to stocking, putting stuff in some weird ice boxes. very, very vintage fridges, even in this very far distant future. As you all explore, I'm going to move very fast to Rose and then to Amatistos. So you find the robo without that much difficulty because they don't try to conceal their presence at all. They are almost like a big golem made out of pans and cooking utensils moving around, making a ruckus. They don't seem to pay you any attention.
Did I miss something?
Uh,
Is it?
yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
was
yeah.
wondering too.
Not a problem.
Who are you
So,
talking to? Victor, when you said that just now, who are you speaking of or speaking to?
So Rose told me that they want to investigate the
the
robo.
robot,
The robo
yes.
doesn't try to hide
Okay.
Right.
their presence at all.
Yeah. So I go to the robot. Um, and I'm holding this compass in my hand. Does it react at all to the robot?
Um, yeah, it switches between two controlled motions, like indicating two different configurations. And since you're making these experiments, I'm actually going to put this together in a way as a clue. You've noticed that on some magical stuffs, it indicates a configuration. On the wisdom teeth, it seems to go crazy. And on robos, it seems to switch between two configurations, like Morse code, and essentially repeat these two all the time.
Okay. That's fascinating. Um, Also, I am now more in awe and terror of this robot. Like the fact that it's alternating, like it's not just one thing.
As you are in awe and standing there, um, it stops, but not because you did anything or not synchronized with the compass. So you can safely assume this has nothing to do with it, but you stay a little bit paralyzed in awe. And it's almost like it was making a round or patrolling the place. So it reached a dead end and it turns around towards you and it starts moving towards you.
I will step to I will step away from it. Does it like is it walking in a straight line or does it keep following me? That's what I want to figure out.
It's walking in a straight line, but obviously you let it pass you.
Mhm.
It stops, makes this. You're not going to take stress because you've experimented this. It very quickly, almost inhumanly, you are 1 second looking at this thing, the other second you are looking down this long barrel of its gun, and then it lowers the gun and it starts to proceed again forward.
Right.
It's almost like it's fighting its own programming.
Yeah, something is restraining it. So
Mhm.
I wonder how much of the compass is picking up the magic of the robot or the magic that's controlling the robot, if that makes sense. Like, is the robot magical or is there some kind of spell that keeps it enthralled and that's what the compass is picking up?
So You know, as a resident of the breadbasket, that these things, there were some that got destroyed by farmerlings that were victorious and actually scrapped them. They don't seem to possess any kind of chalk or
Hmm.
circuit or anything other than circuitry inside of them. So you can guess they are not that magical at all.
Yeah, but there is some, if the compass is detecting magic, then they've altered this robot somehow, or they've incorporated magic into it.
I like that train of thought.
Okay.
Yeah, you're onto something.
Hmm.
And Amathistos. And of course, if anyone else wants to go, you can go to the library. Um, they actually have a large uh, room, almost like a mausoleum, filled to the brim with books. Um, they are dusty. Some of them are quite uh, frequented and perused. Um, but they are in good shape. Obviously, this is not. They are stored in a very low humidity space. So immediately when you reach this room, you kind of get thirsty very fast because there's
Mm,
almost no humidity and no. There is not even mold smell in there. Nothing that would indicate presence
good,
of
good.
people. Um, yeah, it's a
How
large, large room.
how many shelves going upwards?
Um, well, it's a fantasy game, so there's literally hundreds of shelves towards the
So
sky. It's mausoleum.
how would you get books from up high? Are there
Um,
ladders?
there are ladders on wheels that literally go around this whole place, and there are
Ah,
multiple ladders.
so I will look to see if I can first see what section I might try to find. I'm looking for a lexicon,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
usually big fat books uh, with the word lexicon.
Easy enough. You find lexicon, and by going through the whole lexicon section, there is nothing on
Old,
torturer
old.
script.
I'm wondering if I'm going to look for very ancient languages in the hopes that they may have ultimately been derived from torture script and see if I can find any correlations.
Mm, you spot a certain book that kind of gets your attention. Um, but as you try to reach that specific book, there is another ladder with nobody on it, rapidly approaching your position.
Okay.
It will make contact with you quite fast should you not pass a speed check for me.
Okay. Do a speed check. I got 37 out of 55.
Perfect.
Speed is my fastest thing. Yes.
Mhm.
You take the book. You manage
Slide
um,
down the
to slide down the rails of this ladder, and the ladder completely crashes and gets the other one off the rails, and it stops by your side, not exactly synchronized. Looking in the direction from where it came from, you see no one.
see. Oh, one. Um, I'll standing there looking at that ladder. I'm going to take the book and I'm going to go like that and see if the cloud of dust highlights the invisible person that might be standing there?
Not a, it doesn't really showcase a person or anything else, but since you blow this dust all over the place, there are some finger marks and fingerprints that probably are greasy and left much later, much recently, better said. It seems that somebody was there a moment ago and just got away.
No. I am not fooled. You might as well show yourself if you're still here.
No response.
I'll walk over to the podium, place the book on it, and open it up and start perusing through it.
Mm-hmm. As you're perusing the book, we are going to jump a little bit at Sun. What are you doing?
Sun sees everybody scatter and go off and do their things. I stay for a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of go on a wander around the house. I'm not looking for anything specific. I'm just wandering around the house.
Right. So if you walk around, you notice a peculiar style of architecture. You notice that some of the rooms, it probably is because you're tired or something, but they didn't seem to be there the last time. Rooms that you have visited previously. Essentially, you think that if you would to be mapping this place, you could probably dispel some of your fears of this place actually changing constantly. But there is something weird. The last time, even when you left, the theater wasn't that close to the courtyard, and the courtyard wasn't that close to the kitchen, and so on.
Do I encounter anybody?
Not really, no. Except for the feeling of being watched by someone, but you don't know.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'll just, after I just wander around a little bit, I'll just go back down to where where everybody was and wait.
Okay. And Olo, what do you do while everybody is exploring?
Olu is going to try to find the arsenal,
Mm-hmm,
since we were
mm-hmm.
told that there were weapons there, and he could use that before he turns in for the night.
Yeah. You essentially take a brisk walk across the uh, chambers of the castle, and um, since you are exploring and moving in many directions, you will notice something similar to Sun. Of course, you wouldn't know that. Like some of the rooms don't really seem to have a rhyme or logic to them, and you will definitely meet someone like probably will meet up with Thorn or something. You are going to just nearly crash into them, and they will be like, "Oh, the peasants. I mean, the adventurers. You asked about the armory, right?" Um, and she will escort you to nice ornate chamber with, it's like a museum, and she showcases all, not going to bother naming them, but she points towards a specific blade, which you see in a case, ornate, practically made out of encrusted with gems, and looks very decorative, but it can probably pack a punch. And she says, anything but that one. And
Family heirloom?
ah, you could say so.
Sometime I'd like to hear the story of that.
She smiles a little bit. Sanity roll. No, just kidding. She's like, you are the least unlikable salesman.
That's what's on
I
my my sign.
I know what it's like to lose weapon of war, especially to such a silly game. But I assure you that everything you find in here will be to your liking. Don't attempt to touch that one. And she points to her metallic eye. I will know. And she leaves you alone in the room. What exactly are you looking for? There are sabers. There are even fire weapons, such as revolvers or long rifles, but I'm going to say that they need to be cleaned and actually maintained.
For himself, he's definitely just looking for a saber. That bit on stage has him worried that they're going to run into things, and this sword means too much to him to risk for this. So he basically wants a replacement, but he is taking a stock so that he can offer it to the others. Although he worries that only Sven might have the requisite, skills to use these sort of weapons.
You will definitely then find um, sabers, swords, daggers, even some Zweit handlers if people have the upper core strength to use them.
Maybe in my youth, not today. But in that case, yeah, a saber, and then time for
Oh, and apologies, a bow as well, recursive bow.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. He's not used most of those. He's mostly just the blade. But he is noting these and will kind of, as much as you can fix a position in your mind, trying to remember where the armor is. But honestly, he is old enough to know the value of rest after a very stressful day. So that's kind of his plan, is find one of the others, tell him I'm headed to bed, and then do that.
So, of course, a little bit, not that much of a cliffhanger, but essentially you probably come back together. Amatistos, you take the book because you feel that you don't really have that much time because you need to study it more. You need to study it further. So you will extract it, and nobody seems to uh, bat an eye that you are leaving with a book from the library. And with the sun coming down and you all gathering, talking about what you have done and going for a restful sleep, we will put a pen in this session for today.
Okay. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, Nathan Decker, Steve Anderson, Julian Arba, and myself, with Victor Graur as the game warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and terrifying Mothership role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.